We are here with Hugh Stout at Stout Gardens at Dancing Tree, just north of Oklahoma City. And Hugh, I mean, we couldn't have timed this any better. It's just beautiful here.
Yeah, you got here at just the right time. We're pretty much at peak.
Yeah, so are you guys open to people to come visit?
We're open on the weekends, Friday through Sunday from 9 to 4.
Okay, during the blooming season?
During the bloom season, which is usually through Mother's Day.
Okay.
And maybe we're so late this year, we might go another week beyond that.
Yeah, I know. It's been kind of a cold spring. Has that done anything to our irises?
Just the very early bloomers were affected and couldn't bloom, but it just slowed everything down. They're so, you know, they're so smart. When it's hot, they go to sleep, and when it's cold, they slow down. And so they're very useful that way.
So you primarily have tall bearded irises here.
Mostly, yeah.
Okay. And can you kind of talk to us a little bit about some of the maintenance on what we need to know about our irises?
Well, I always tell people dead people can grow them because they're in the cemeteries. They're very, very simple. They need to be dry.
Okay.
Well-drained soil, raised bed preferably. They don't need a lot of fertilizer. They don't like a lot of nitrogen. We try to keep a low nitrogen number. And then dividing them every few years or so because they overcrowd.
And they actually do kind of start dying in the center of them, right? If you don't
Yes,
divide
they will,
them.
and they'll just, I mean, you can't hardly kill them, but they will get smaller and smaller.
Okay.
So it's good to divide them and spread them around the
And
neighborhood.
when is the best time to divide our irises?
The best time is in the fall or late summer.
Okay.
Around here, the rule of thumb is the state fair, you know, the temperature's breaking and the rains come, and then they have plenty of time to get acclimated before winter hits.
Okay, all right. So you've got a lot of irises here that you're trying to keep up with. You actually hybridize them as well.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the colors, the petals, and that sort of thing?
Well, we want, you know, big flowers. We want stalks that'll hold the big flowers. We want lots of buds. You know, the biggest knock on irises is that they only bloom for a short period of time. Okay. So we want to extend the bloom season. In some cases we have rebloomers, and we can work with those to bloom twice a year. You know, perennial qualities, making sure the foliage looks good when the irises aren't there. I mean, when the flowers aren't there.
So do you want to cut back the irises, or?
Well, you can. You know, if they're getting a little unsightly or whatever, it's okay to, we cut them in a fan so they still have their foliage. We don't cut them to the ground. But yeah, I mean, I obviously have too many. We don't do that.
Okay. All right. Well, and so what are some of the things that you're looking at with your irises that you're hybridizing here?
Well, we're looking for form. We want a big, wide, what we call the fall. The parts that fall down are the fall. We want wide falls that show a lot of color. We're getting more and more ruffling in them now, edges on there. We're getting a wide variety of color. The stalks need to be candelabra type, where the flowers have plenty of room to open. And then, see, we have like this flower will be gone in a few days, but we have another one coming up.
Okay.
So the sequence of bloom is very important. So it lasts a few weeks instead of 1 week or whatever. And yeah, you know, Oklahoma is very, very demanding as far as perennial qualities and strength. The stalks need to stand up in the wind. It's pretty windy here, and this is doing just fine.
So you mentioned you're even trying to do some different hybridizing with the beard itself.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of exciting. We call them space age irises, where we're getting these appendages on the beards. And this is what we call a flounce. And, you know, eventually this will turn into like a double iris with the hybridizing. You notice the form's not quite as good on this one as the other. But we can, you know, we can breed to strengthen that. So
you're developing petals where there weren't any petals.
Exactly, exactly.
So Hugh, can you talk about some of the edges and also the veins that we're seeing in some of the irises?
Yeah, it's getting real exciting. We're getting a lot of new patterns inveining, edges, working on double edges. You see like dark edging here, and you might see light edging over there.
They almost look like paintings, you know, with the fine brush strokes.
There's actually one called oil painting back there.
So we're seeing some kind of maroon, dark colored, not quite red, but are we calling them red? Or?
We're getting
Okay.
redder and redder. You know,
Okay.
they're not like daylily red, but we're more kind of a violet red or a brownish red. But yeah, we're getting some real pretty red ones.
So you're also a judge.
Yes.
On the national level. So is every breeder out there trying to chase the red and the black iris, or?
Well, it's, you know, you're doing a little of everything. But yeah, there's always, I'll make a few crosses on that one, I think, and see what comes up. But yeah, it's just working on a lot of different things.
So how long does it take also from when you're collecting those seeds till you get to see the actual flower, whether it's worth keeping or not?
Well, the seeds, you know, they form a pod. In about 2 months, I'll collect the seeds, and then I just store them inside. And around Thanksgiving time, we'll plant them in pots.
Okay.
And then they come up and we plant them in the ground next spring. And then 2 years, we'll see a bloom.
All right.
And that's when we'll start evaluating if it's whether to keep it or feed it to the bunnies.
And how hard is that? I mean, you've worked 2 years and you have to feed some of these to the bunnies.
Well, once you're going, it is hard sometimes, and some of them are so close, and you want to introduce it, but it needs to be distinctive.
All right. And you have some really creative names for those that you have released that are in your catalog. And if our viewers want to get a hold of this catalog, how can they do that?
Well, they can go to stoutgardens.com.
Okay.
You can order it online. It's $6, but it's full color and has every type we have. Or they can go online where there's even more varieties online.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.